We're back again. Hello, welcome to Up the Villa podcast. Subscribe to our channel, drop this video a like. Your support is huge. The debrief. I feel like this one's going to be thumbnailed the debrief because obviously I did a little episode earlier on, but I still feel like I've not got my full thoughts out there. So I'm back with Justin. So Justin, what did you make of today?
Typical Villa, isn't it? New year and a disappointing start. A very odd game. I thought the first few minutes was just nothing really was happening, and then we managed to get the goal. Fantastic goal. Great bit of movement from Buendia. Lovely through ball. Nice touch from Danny Ings, and he does what he does best, doesn't he? And buries it. You could see all the frustration from the past few weeks disappearing, in that celebration. He just, that's what he's been waiting for, hasn't it, that moment. But after that, really, first half, we did dominate the ball, but we didn't really do a lot with it, did we? I saw all the at half time, I was reading all the comments on Twitter, and obviously I'm in a few groups and stuff, and we did dominate the ball and we did dominate the game, but without really causing any more trouble to Brentford, which for me was a bit of a concern, because whilst you have that much possession, you'd like to think when you have that much possession, you can turn them into chances, and we didn't. We didn't really. I think we had one shot on target in the whole of the first half, which was the goal. And I always felt that that's a worry in any game. It doesn't matter how much you dominate, the other team only needs that one chance, which came, didn't it? And it was out of the blue, really. They wasn't really threatening, didn't really look like scoring, and then one decent bit of play, and the lad takes a lovely touch and he buries it. Fantastic finish. And that's always the risk at 1-0, isn't it? That the other team can just nick something. And I did expect a reaction in the second half. I thought we'd come out firing. And we didn't. The reality of the game is we didn't. We probably put a lot poorer in the second half than we was in the first half. I think that goal gave them that little bit of impetus and that little bit of belief that they could maybe get something out of the game. They probably felt that whilst we did have a lot of the ball, we didn't really do anything with it. So that gave them that bit more of encouragement maybe to push forward. And ultimately, a mistake at the back, from House lets them in, and it was another half decent finish, and we've lost the game, and it is without doubt the worst game we've had under Gerrard, and this is 8th game now, and we've only lost to the top 3 before today. So it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, isn't it? So it's disappointing. I'm sure that the manager will not stand for it. I've just watched his after-match press conference, and I tend to agree with everything he said, really. I think Traore seems to be the scapegoat of the game today. I think it's a little bit harsh. I'm probably going to get pelters for saying it, but I don't think he was terrible. I'm not saying he was brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but he was no worse than, say, McGinn was or any of the others. And let's not forget, this is his first start since August. He's been injured a lot. He's been, he had a few minutes of the day and he came in. And we all know what Traore is about, don't we? He gets the ball and he's 1 minute he'll take 3 blokes on, next minute he'll lose the ball, and he was a bit wasteful. But for me, he was no worse than 6 or 7 other players on the pitch. So to blame him, I think is very, very harsh. I think what it does show us is that we do need a few more players. We are a bit short. We've obviously missing Watkins and Mings, which is a blow. And we've got the African Nations Cup coming up, so we're going to lose 1 or 2 there. We've still got this spectre of COVID hanging over us every single game. Are we missing anybody here and there and everywhere? So I think we're in January. I think, he's seen enough of the squad now to make a call on a few of them. I think a few of them, I think the days are numbered for a few of them now. I think he'll definitely want to move a few on now and try and upgrade a few positions. So we'll see what the next few weeks brings. But yeah, very disappointed overall.
Yes, it is very disappointing. And like you say, the worst performance under Gerrard. But like you say, we was all right with the ball. And I think the thing is, if you look at what we've done since Gerrard's come in, when he first came in, I remember Brighton, especially at home, it was sort of like roles reversed to how Brentford approached us today. We were happy for Brighton to have the ball, to knock it round, not really do too much with it. And we ended up beating Brighton at home, on the counter-attack, really. Today, we've had all the ball and they've had a couple of half chances and took 2 of them. And we're coming off the back of a crap result now. do you feel like we're just over forcing the ball? Is that what we're sort of doing? Because yes, we're controlling the game, we're controlling play, but there's times where we lose the ball, and then we're our worst enemy for it, aren't we? As you saw from the goals today,
it felt very much like that we settled into the game, we got the goal, we got ahead, and then we dominated the ball in the middle third. We totally dominated it, and it almost felt a bit like they all just expected at some point we were going to create a chance, and we're going to take that chance, and we was going to go 2-0 up, maybe even 3-0 up, and the game was going to be won. And because they never went searching for that second goal, it sort of became a bit of a nothing game, didn't it? We never really got, what you want in that. For me, what I would want in that instance is the midfielders to go running the game and going, right, let's push the game on, let's get 10 yards further up the pitch, let's push the forwards and the wide men out wide, and let's get more balls into the box. We didn't see many balls into the box. There just wasn't that desire to go and get that second goal. That's how it felt to me. It felt very much like a training ground where the manager sets the team up to dominate the ball. Let's have half an hour of possession where we just keep the ball. With no end product. It almost like you get to the edge of the box. Okay, now you've got there. Let's go back again. Let's reset. Let's go back again. Let's just keep the ball another 10 minutes. Let's see if we can move it left or right. And it was lovely to see, but ultimately, I'd rather have 30% possession and 3 goals than 80% possession and lose the game. You've got to get that balance, haven't you, between keeping the ball but also creating chances. And we didn't really do that today. And in the Premier League, regardless of who you're playing, whether it is Man City or whether it's Norwich, all these teams, if you give them a chance on their day, can score goals against you. And we've been done today, and we were all bitterly disappointed that we've lost the game. That realistically, if you look at the statistics only, we didn't deserve to lose that game. But if you watch the game, did we do enough to go and win the game? I don't think we did. If I'm brutally honest, we didn't do enough to win the game because we didn't do enough in the final third. Last 10 minutes was a bit, helter-skelter, and we sort of had a bit of a go. And there was one or two, Ings had that chance where he was unlucky, he didn't quite get it round the keeper. But up to that point, we wasn't. If we'd have played like that from the start of the second half, I think we would have won the game. But it was just disappointing, But we're going to get games like this. Nobody expected Gerrard to come in and just win every single game. This is the first time we've lost to a team outside the top 3. And that's going to happen at some point, isn't it? This what football's all about. We might play again next week and be quite poor, but nick a goal one and win 1-0. And you think we've got away with that one. That's just football, isn't it? But ultimately, what you're striving for is more consistency. You're striving that when you have got the possession we have, and when you have got, the players we've got, that you go and win the game. And that's why I think Gerrard was so disappointed afterwards, because he said we shouldn't really have drawn it. We shouldn't have lost it, and we shouldn't have probably even drawn it. We should have won the game. And it's something they'll have to work on. But I think, if anything, it's given him a real insight into now the real job in hand. The honeymoon period's over now. We're 8 games in. He knows exactly what he's up against. He knows the squad he's got. He's seen most of them play now. So he's now got to make the judgment calls on who he thinks is good enough to take us forward. And, we're not going to get relegated. We've got an outside chance of a European place. So we're going to be stuck around mid-table now. So the job for the rest of the season is trying to have a cup run and then assessing the squad to maybe do 1 or 2 things now. But the main job will be to do it in the summer and get us in a position where we can challenge for Europe next season. So, a lot of these players have got to pull the finger out, otherwise they're going to be on the bike pretty quickly.
I mean, I'm by no means writing this season off, but I would rather Gerrard learn lessons about this squad now than learn them next season. So I've done a couple of transfer episodes on my own, and the majority of Villa fans that are commenting in this comment section are saying we still need a CDM, we still need a left back, and we need a centre back. And I think that's fair. I think that's, fair to say that we do need a centre back to cover Konsa, Mings, left back. Some would say to replace Mings, but I think that's a little bit too harsh. I think we definitely missed him today. I think personally we're a bit soft. We're still a bit nice, and I think we're not nasty enough. For example, against Chelsea, Matt Targett, take Lukaku out straight away. do that dirty foul. Yes, we do. In my opinion, you want to see them fouls because they're tactical fouls. Chelsea do it all the time. Liverpool do it all the time. They will do that all day long because they just do that. That's what we've got to start doing a bit more of because I just think we're too nice, and I think we do need a solid central defensive midfielder. What do you think about midfield, Justin? Because I said on the episode I did earlier, all the midfielders were probably rated about a 5 out of 10 today. They're all doing the same. They're all doing the same sort of role. Yes, they press well. Yes, they will neat and tidy. But I just think we lack that bit of control. You know, say if we lose the ball and we further up the field, I think at the minute it always feels like it's a bit erratic. Like we're chasing back. We're trying to. It all looks a bit chaotic to me. What would you say about that?
I agree. I think what the manager's got to strive to do now over the next 2 or 3 or 4 transfer windows is to get to a position where we've got the players in each position that are the top players in each position. So what I'll bear in mind that is if we're playing against Man United like we are next week, you'd look at who you would want, who are your mainstays of that team. So you've got Emi Martinez, he's that man. Have we got an Emi Martinez type player in the midfield where you just go every single week, he's nailed on because he does his job fantastically well? At the moment, we've got a ruck of midfielders, like you say, that all do the same thing. And some weeks they're all right, they're good, they're decent. Other weeks they just drop off a bit. We need that one midfielder. You just think we can never drop that bloke because he's just phenomenal. You know, he's like not saying like a Kante. We just think he's just plays every week, regardless. He's just brilliant every week, and that's where he's got to get to with the next sort of few transfer windows. He's bringing these players, and ultimately all of that 11, barring probably Martinez, are all replaceable. Because where we want to get to, we've got to get to a position where we've got players, you know, look at the Liverpool and the City and the Chelsea first 11s. Are any of ours on a par with those? And there's not that many that are up there with that kind of squad. And that's where we've got to get to. So he has got to look to improve all the positions on the pitch. And the most important position on the pitch generally is a midfield, isn't it? A midfield general. We've been crying out for a midfield general now for as far as back as I can remember, to be honest. So I think he needs to go out there and find one where he can just say, you are my main man in the middle of the park, and then all the rest have just got to fit in around you. And if they're good enough, they'll play. But we do lack a midfield driver, a Keane, a Vieira, you know, the players that just drove their teams on to success, you know, the captains of the team, you know. I do think we're lacking a captain. I think Mings is a good captain. I don't think he's a brilliant captain. So I think somebody that could come in and maybe even take the captaincy and just be the focal point for our team. You know, I think something we've been lacking for a long, long time. And hopefully they can, you know, I'm not sure he's the man for the future, but someone like Romeo from Southampton could possibly come in the short term and do that role, because you're not going to get that caliber of player, you know, in this window. So it's going to be a summer job, that is, to bring someone like that in, and it's going to cost a lot of money. But that's where I see the main sort of fault, if you say that fault of the team is the midfield, somewhere to drive us forward, because that's what we lacked today. When it was just petering out and we wasn't really driving forward, that's where you want your midfield general to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, let's get this one, lads. We're easily good enough to win this game. You know, we just got to get it and do it. And we didn't have that. You know, McGinn was captain today, and I thought he was very quiet today, really quiet. He didn't have his usual energetic drive forward. And I thought Sanson was unlucky to be left out as well today. I understood why he did it. He wanted to get, you know, more of a forward type player in, and McGinn's one of his main men, so he comes back in. But yeah, there's more questions than answers. You know, there always is after a defeat, isn't there? You know, if we'd have won that 3 or 4-0 today, which we could have easily have done, we're talking totally different tonight. We've got a good squad. You know, we don't need many players, but we do. The reality is we do, because we want to progress into the top 6 in the Premier League, and to do that, you've got to have quality players.
Yeah, to be fair, I was a bit surprised at how I started today, because I felt like Sanson, he did well against Chelsea. I thought Ramsey could have played out wide a little bit. I know we needed probably a little bit of pace, but I just felt like even if Traoré today was absolutely fantastic, he ain't playing next week. He's going to the Africa Cup, and so I just felt like, what's the point?
I think when Watkins was out, obviously it seems to be a COVID thing. I think Watkins and Ings would have started. To be fair, I think that would have been his front three, and I think Sanson probably would have still been outside because you don't leave Buendia out. And I think once Watkins was out, he had to make a decision. Does he push forward into an more unnatural position in the front three, or do you bring in a player who can play? That's his position, and he's fully fit now. We used to moan a lot of previous managers, didn't we, playing players out of position when you've got players more than capable that's their position. And I get it. I know why he did it, and he has to live and die by those decisions. That's what he's paid for. But it's the midfield conundrum. But I think we've been going on about the midfield conundrum now for about ever since I think we've started this bloody podcast. I think we've questioned the midfield problems we've had, haven't we? So it's no nearer really getting resolved. So I do think we're going to have to bring a midfielder in to try and resolve this midfield problems that we keep having. So we'll see. We'll see what this window brings.
Definitely. Well, we'll finish on Danny Ings then, because he's looked a little bit short confidence, but I felt like today, I felt like he was pressing well today. He looked a bit sharper. He took his goal very, very well. And that's what we want to see from Danny Ings, isn't it? That through ball came to him. And to be fair, the angle that he struck that ball in, he was out wide a little bit, wasn't it? So it was a real good finish to get it past the keeper at the far post. So what do you make of Danny Ings then?
Yeah, I think he did well. I think, again, we didn't really, apart from, I think, 2 or 3 times, we didn't really feed him in. I think there was one chance he had where they made a block, didn't they? We got a corner off it, and then he scored the goal, which the 2 chances in the first half. And then he had that late one where, again, all 3 came from balls fed into him from the midfield when he just plays off the back of the last defender in the gap between the 2 centre halves, which he loves that area, and that's where he feeds off. But apart from that, he didn't get a lot of service today, did he? Because we were just messing about with it in midfield. And yeah, we were keeping the ball, and we've talked about it already. We kept the ball okay, and we dominated the ball. But unless you're actually progressive with the ball and you get the ball into dangerous areas, you've got a bloke there who proves that, get the ball into his feet in a dangerous position, he'll put the ball away. That's no question about that. And I think that's where we failed today, is we didn't do that enough. We didn't progress the ball quickly enough. We didn't get the ball into his feet enough, and we didn't get around him when we did do it, to create those chances that probably would have seen us win the game. But I'm sure they'll be working on this tomorrow, and they'll watch it back. And he's a natural predator. He's a natural goal scorer. We know what we bought when we signed Danny Ings. And this today was the reason we signed Danny Ings for me. When you've got Watkins out, you've got Danny Ings, because had we not got him, who did you play up front? So the Ings-Watkins argument really, you should have 2 good players in every position for today, for exactly what happened today. One's injured, the other one comes in, you don't miss him. So that's what they're there for. So, yeah, we just need to sort out the wide players and the midfield 3 still, I think. I think the wide players as well need to be sorted. Bailey's been in and out all season with injury. God knows how much he's going to play over the next rest of the season. Like you say, Traore and Trezeguet are going to be out for next month now, the African Cup of Nations. So we are going to be very light in them positions. Quickly on Trezeguet, I mean, what the hell was he doing at the end? I mean, that's just not, I don't know that at all. He'd done the hard work, he beat the bloke, and he got to the ball first, and he tries to cut back inside, and he just throws himself to the ground. I'm sure he was told in the dressing room how ridiculous it was. But all you need to do is square it up, or dink it to the back stick or something, do anything with it, with seconds to go. I just don't know the mentality of them doing things like that. But yeah, things to work on. And, we're not the finished article. It's only 8 games into Gerrard's reign. And we're going to win more than we lose, in my opinion. And there's still a lot to play for this season. So I'm very, looking forward to the rest of the season. Let's go and beat Man United on Monday now. We'll all be happy then.
End on a but yeah, I mean, our record under Gerrard at the minute, 4 wins, 4 defeats. That sort of says it all, don't it, really?
Yeah.
Rather good.
Well, three of them against the top 3. So, today was the most disappointing, very disappointing. We're all going to be hurting after that, because we all saw that as a game we could comfortably win. And realistically, we should have comfortably won it. We didn't get outplayed. We didn't get battered. They've nicked 2 goals, realistically. One was just phenomenal finish. The other was gifted to them by a cock up at the back. And we didn't create enough chances to bury them when we got ahead. So very disappointing. But like we said earlier, Gerrard's got something to get his teeth into now next week. So God help him in training for the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, get stuck into right. Well, I kind of feel a little bit better, but we lost, didn't we? So, talking to you does feel a bit better now.
You just don't get too down when we lose and don't get too high when we win. That's the thing. That's my mantra for the new season. Don't get too down when we lose, because there's always the next game. There's always the next opportunity to go and get 3 points, and that's what we got next week.
Yeah, we'll do the treble over United this season as well. Knock them out the cup and beat them at home. Right, sorted. See you in a bit. Right, thanks everyone for watching. And we'll be back in the week. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.